Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. The subject of today is the only submarine the Ukrainian Navy ever operated, the Zaporizhzhia, a Cold War era Fox Trot class diesel-electric submarine. The Fox Trot class was the NATO reporting name of a class of diesel-electric patrol submarines that were built in the Soviet Union. The Soviet designation of this class was Project 641. The Fox Trot was designed to replace the earlier Zulu class, which suffered from structural weakness, limited operational depth, and submerged speed. The first Fox Trot keel was laid down in 1957 and commissioned in 1958, and the last hull was completed in 1983. A total of 58 were built for the Soviet Navy at the Sudomech division of the Admiralty's shipyard in Leningrad. Additional submarines were also built for export to other countries like Cuba, Libya, and India. The Foxtrot class was comparable in performance and armament to other designs of adversary nations. However, its 3 screws made it louder than most Western designs. Also, the Foxtrot class was one of the last designs introduced before the adoption of the teardrop hull, which offered much better underwater performance. The Foxtrot was larger than the older Zulu-class submarine, but it had 2 of its 3 decks dedicated to batteries. This gave it an underwater endurance of 10 days. Onboard conditions were crowded, with space being relatively small even when compared to older submarines such as the much older American Balao-class submarine, or other submarines of the Second World War. It displaced 1,952 long tons serviced and 2,475 long tons submerged. It has a length of 89.9 meters, a beam of 7.4 meters. The maximum speed while surface is 16 knots and 15 knots submerged, with a maximum range of 20,000 nautical miles. The armaments are pretty standard for an early Cold War submarine: 10 53-centimeter torpedo tubes, 6 bow and 4 stern. Now we'll get on to the specifics of the Zaporizhzhia. Built in Leningrad, launched on May 29, 1970, and on November 6, 1970, the boat became part of the Northern Fleet under the designation B-435. For 20 years in the service of the Soviet Union's Navy, she made 14 long-distance trips, including in 1971 she visited Havana, Cuba, and in 1977 she visited Tunisia during her military service. The boat underwent repairs in 1972 after completing a long combat service deployment in the Atlantic. And then, in 1979 to 1981, the submarine underwent another average repair in Kronstadt. In the summer of 1990, she was transferred to the Black Sea via inland waterways. In 1990, she became part of the Black Sea Fleet in the 153rd Brigade of the 14th Submarine Division, based in the South Bay of Sevastopol. In 1997, during the division of the Black Sea Fleet of the Soviet Union between Russia and Ukraine, the B-435 was transferred to Ukraine and it received the name U-01 Zaporizhzhia. Once the boat was part of the Ukrainian Navy, it went through repairs for about a decade and a half. From 1991 to 1994, the submarine was repaired by the Russian Navy, but when its batteries ran out, the Russian sailors decided not to bother with the boat and handed over the de-energized submarine to the Ukrainian Navy. The Ukrainian Navy had been repairing the Zaporizhzhia since 2001. The batteries were purchased from a Greek company in 2003, but for 7 years there was no funds for their installation. According to the schedule, the repair was supposed to end in 2004, but the funding was absent, so the batteries were forced to be kept ashore. During the repair, work was carried out to replace the hull plating sections, repair bottom and outboard fittings, torpedo tubes, the screw steering complex, the installation of the bow spire, cleaning and painting of the hull, and repairs of the main ballast tanks. Simultaneously with the repairs, combat exercises were conducted aboard the ship for crew training purposes. The batteries were finally installed in the submarine and mooring tests began, and as of February 18, 2010, the submarine was 92% ready. By December of that same year, the submarine was ready to go to sea. On April 25, 2012, having completed its tests, the submarine Zaporizhzhia left the Sevastopol Bay and into the Black Sea. During the second half of 2012, it was planned to complete sea trials and then introduce the submarine into the combat composition of the Ukrainian Navy. On July 18, 2012, the submarine successfully carried out test dives during sea trials, the first dive that she had done in 18 years. Unfortunately, not everything would go so smoothly for this sub. On the 22nd of March 2014, during the Russian invasion of Crimea, it was reported that the submarine had been taken over by Russian forces after being surrounded and harassed by Russian Navy ships who demanded its surrender. Eventually, the Russian Navy forced their way on board and seized the ship. Zaporizhzhia was placed under control of the Black Sea Fleet of the Russian Federation, and the Ukrainian symbols were removed from the submarine. Reportedly, half the submarine's crew continued to serve in the Russian Navy, but I'm not sure of the legitimacy of this information. On the 29th of March 2014, the Black Sea Fleet of the Russian Federation was reported to have refused to add the submarine to its ranks on the grounds that it was obsolete and suffered from a number of technical issues. Since July 2014, the submarine has been temporarily moored in the Strelitskaya Bay of Sevastopol. The Russian Navy was clearly not planning to return the Zaporizhzhia to the Ukrainian Navy, and it will most likely, unfortunately, remain inside occupied Crimea. In March 2020, the submarine Zaporizhzhia was relocated to the Izhenerna Bay. In 2024, the Russian occupiers plan to exhibit the submarine Zaporizhzhia as an exhibit in one of the museums on the territory of occupied Crimea. The museumification of the boat is planned to be carried out by the end of 2025. That's the end of the story for now. Short and simple. Unfortunately, Crimea is still occupied along with the Zaporizhzhia, although I hope one day she'll be liberated and returned to Ukraine to be made into some sort of museum perhaps. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.